Hello, in this episode of Sven's Death Guard blog, I'm going to be getting down and playing my first game. Hello there, it's Sven here again for the Average Tabletop Gamers, and this is the third instalment of my ongoing Death Guard blog, where I'm building up a Death Guard army and learning to play 40k again in 9th edition. So if you've watched the previous couple of episodes, you'll have seen the models that I started off with for my army. And then the last episode I looked at my core squads, so building up some squads of Plague Marines. So if you've not watched either of those, go back and watch those now. And then in this one, I'm going to be looking at getting for my first game. So, as you saw in the previous episode, I built up a few different squads of some Plague Marines. And as I said then, I wasn't sure exactly if they were going to live in those particular squads that I'd point them up as, and they might move around a bit as I play games, and depending on the points cost. I built 4 squads because they were the models I had, and it kind of worked out nicely, those numbers. So, I was looking to get into my first game, and we've been playing a few games over at Kel's house in the war room on his table. And there's a few of us that have been playing these smaller games. Again, we're all kind of learning to play 40k in 9th edition because we're all old school 40k players. Some of us haven't played for a few versions. So we're trying to cast out the old rules, bring in the new. So with that in mind, we thought we'd start small. So knowing that I've got the Plague Marines, I've got my troop choices. I needed an HQ and then some extra bits just to put around the periphery. So I've picked for my HQ, I've picked a Lord of Contagion. I really like that model. It was the one that I wanted to get painted, so I picked the Lord of Contagion first to go as my first Chaos Lord, my first HQ choice. And then, as I mentioned in episode 1 of this, I had previously got a Mephitic Blight Hauler that I'd painted up when these belong to Rob. So I already had that painted, so I figured that's an extra choice that I could put in the army. And then while I was painting the HQ choice, I decided to paint a couple of the extra choices. So I painted up the Foul Blightspawn and the Biologist Putrefier. So when I was looking at planning my first army, we'd agreed about 30 power to play, and I knew I was going to be playing Lee's Genestealer Cult. So I basically opted for a couple of small squads of Plague Marines, the Mephitic Blight Hauler, the Lord of Contagion, and I took the Foul Blightspawn. The first game was alright. Lee did win by quite a margin, but what I found was having the smaller force going up against Lee's fast-moving swarm of Genestealer Cult and Genestealers, especially in a mission where I was trying to capture objectives, I was kind of pinned down a little bit, unable to make the most of what I wanted to do. I've played a second game since, against Huss with his Blood Angels, which went a lot better for me because, again, we were kind of matched model for model, and it just came down to some fortunate rolls from me at the start of being knocked some of his squads out, and then I eked out the win just by a numbers game of I managed to kind of wear him down that he couldn't capture enough objectives. Even if he wiped me off the table, he didn't have the models to capture the objectives. So the first couple of games, what I've really liked about the Death Guard is I love the resilience. I love the extra toughness. I love the disgustingly resilient rule where you knock one off the damage characteristic. That just gives them staying power. Combine that with some of the extra bits, so like the Lord of Contagion, his ability to drop a unit's toughness when he's close to them, and again with him being the Lord of Contagion, that extra range you get for that. But then also having those extra units like the Foul Blightspawn. I think in the second game when I played against Huss, I armed him with Vomitrix, one of the relic weapons, just to try that out, because again, starting to learn the stratagem, starting to learn the relics and the war gear, put those into the games as well. And I found as I've played more games and I've seen more games, I'm starting to get my head around that a lot more, and I'm going to be incorporating that into the games a lot more as we play going forward. So the unit that really surprised me though when I've played both these games was the Mephitic Blightholder. I think having the speed that it's got combined with the weapons that it's got and some of its abilities, some of its special rules it's got, like the Foul Stench, I think is phenomenal really, in terms of, you know, something that can be a vehicle hunter with its multi-melter, but it's also got the missiles that are good against the troops. It's a good all-rounder. So what I'll probably do alongside whatever unit I pick next is I've got a second Mephitic Blightholder. This is one that was built and half painted by Rob, I think following my scheme a little bit. So I'm going to finish this off to have two of them, and I might even get around to getting a third to run the full squadron of 3, because I think in a bigger game having 3 of these roaming the battlefield is just going to cause a lot of havoc to the enemy lines, whether it be armour or troops. Obviously the thing I'm never going to be able to get around is my terrible dice luck, but hopefully when it comes to saving throws, when it comes to, you know, actually keeping my Marines alive, the fact they've got the higher toughness and that resilience should balance out for my terrible dice rolling. So where next for my Death Guard? Now I've got to the point where I've got a small enough force where I can probably play up to about 50 power, I think, probably even more than that now with, you know, just the Plague Marines, but it's not a lot of like diversity, it's not a lot of range in the army in terms of what I can put down, what I can do with it. So I think the next unit I'm going to look at is probably one of the vehicles. I might do the Plague Burst Crawler to get myself some heavy support on the table. And I love the Plague Burst Crawler, I've been reading the rules on that. The weapons characteristics it's got, I'll probably go for the Plague Spewers for the sponson mounts. I'm not sure about the front mount yet, the smaller gun mount on the front, but I'll address that one in the next episode when I look at the Plague Burst Crawler. And then I think from there I'm going to start bringing in a few of the more, like some more flavour into the army. Maybe the Terminators, might do some other one of the other HQ choices to get a bit of variance. So the one thing I will say about the Lord of Contagion is he's great, however his lack of ranged weapons means you've got to kind of be sneaky to get him across the table without him, you know, being targeted. So maybe going for one of the other Nurgle lords, the Death Guard lords, with ranged weapons might be an option for me to look at for the future. So first couple of games on the books for the Death Guard, 1 win, 1 loss. As I say, I'm going to carry on expanding. I'm going to carry on adding some units in and trying those out in battle and seeing where we get with them. So thanks for sticking with this. Hopefully there'll be more to come, and you'll get to see my Death Guard army bloom a bit more as I spread the disease. Make sure you give us a like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notify bell below on YouTube just so you can keep up to date with these. Check out Instagram, because I'll be posting all pictures of the painted models and stuff on my army as we go on Instagram, as well as Facebook and Twitter. Keep up to date with us there on the socials, and we'll see you soon in the next one.